Lovely. So, welcome to the System Summer Masterclass. Some familiar faces on here. So, if you're a client of mine, hello. A couple of you I already know quite well. Some new faces on here as well. So, hello. Just to let you all know, this meeting is recorded. It's going to be sent out as a sort of free training, a free tool. So, that's just something to bear in mind if you do want to speak on here. Just have that at the back of your mind. If you want to ask any questions, feel free to put them into the Zoom chat. And yeah, we'll jump right in and get started. You're just going to have to excuse me a little bit because there are people coming in and I'm having to admit them at the same time. So if I do look a little bit distracted, that is why. But welcome to the ladies who have just come through. We are just getting started now, so you've not missed anything. But yeah, we are going to jump right in a second. Let's just give these ladies a couple more minutes who are coming through. While we're waiting for people to join, who is on their final week this week? Put just so that I know the chat is actually working. I think this is a really good tool. If anyone is on their final week this week, just put a number one on your Zoom in the Zoom chat for me. So anyone who is finishing this Friday, breaking up this Friday, put a one into the Zoom chat just so that I know that the chat is working well. And then if you are very ready to finish this Friday and very ready for a little bit of a break, put a five in the Zoom chat. If you're ready to just relax and chill out a little bit, I'm sure all of you are. It's to be fair, this one has been it's a shorter half term, isn't it? It's actually been like a 5 week one. So yeah, I think some people are breaking up this week, but some people have got that long slog of 6 weeks, but it then means the summer term is a little bit longer, but never mind, we will get there in the end. Right, guys, we'll dive straight into the training. Like I said, please utilize the Zoom chat as we're going through. I'll probably put in bits and bobs like I have been doing already. Just ask you to put numbers in, if we're kind of in response to something or if we're talking about a certain topic. And then if any of you feel comfortable sort of unmuting, I'd be more than happy to kind of have you guys sharing anything as well. Yeah, I know Jordana, you're sort of very different, aren't you? Because you aren't in the UK, so it's a different situation completely. Right, let's jump in and see what is going on then for our training today. So today what I wanted to do, guys, is go over sort of 5 clear systems that you can put in place and really implement going into the summer term. I feel like the half term just gets a little bit wild, chaotic and crazy, and I can fully appreciate that the summer term is often the hardest one. You've got reports, you're exhausted, the kids start to lose it a little bit in that term and go a little bit wild as well, which doesn't help. So what I wanted to do was give you 5 clear strategies to really implement today and to be able to come away from this training with some tools in your back pocket to be able to put these in place as you go into that summer term and as you go sort of after the Easter holidays. And I want to do it nice and early so that you can kind of rewatch this video, come back to it if you want to. It's going to be on YouTube, so you can save it for later. I'm going to be sharing the link afterwards, and you can sort of revisit it when you go back into school and remind yourself where you want to be with everything. But this is kind of what I wanted to cover today. So going over the 5 systems that I want you to try and implement going into the summer term to help you set boundaries. These aren't explicit, this is how you drop weight systems. These are more boundary setting systems. So how do you make sure that work is not taken over? How do you make sure that work is that you are allowed to have your balance outside of work and set some intentional goals and actually be able to stick to something consistently? So these tools are tools that are going to allow you to stay consistent over that set period of time. Results are seen in consistency, especially in teaching. There is absolutely no point you sitting and doing a 6 week shred, 8 week shred as a teacher, because number one, you're going to kill yourself off by doing it. And number two, afterwards, you're just going to go back to your old habits. You need to learn what you can put in place that is going to feel more sustainable, tools that you can put in place in the long run, and tools that you can fit in week by week as teaching goes through and as the half term chaos goes up and down, as we know it does in waves. And that's what I want you to get from this training. How to stay on track week in, week out through each of the half terms. A plan which works around teaching. I want you to understand that there is a way to be able to build this in around teaching. It is absolutely possible. It's not easy, but it is possible. And I'm under no illusion that it is easy for any of my clients. And there are weeks that all of my clients find hard at times, but you can do it. And it's so important that you do it. And that's another thing that I want you to get from this training as well, that setting those boundaries and working on you just allows you to show up as that better version of you for yourself at home, if you've got kids, and for the children in your class as well. So it's just thinking a little bit further than you're just doing this for you. So it doesn't feel like it's this thing where you're being selfish, taking that time for you. And that's kind of what I really want to drill into today. So A little bit about me, if you guys don't know me. Lots of you know me sort of already if you are a client, or maybe we've spoke previously, or you've been following my journey on Instagram. So I used to be a teacher. I taught in primary schools for 6 years. I was always in year five and year six. Towards the end of my career, I was in senior leadership roles. So I know kind of the pressures throughout from starting as a ECT, well, it was an NQT at the time when I actually did it, all the way through to the end where kind of having those extra responsibilities plus SATs and all of the jazz that goes on with it, all of those extra bits. And I fully appreciated how hard it was. Around 18 months ago, so it was August 2024, so a little bit longer than 18 months now, I left teaching to start up the Teacher Fitness Academy to work on the business and to try and build something that allowed teachers to understand that they could do this for themselves. They could find that time for themselves. I noticed that when I was in work, so many members of staff around me were just really struggling with well-being and really struggling to find that time for themselves. And the sad thing was with the school that I was working at the time, but staff sickness was just horrendous. And I feel like it was just completely, at times, teachers just didn't know how to find that balance between the two. And it was a real driving force for me wanting to make a bit of a change because it just felt like at that time it did feel a little bit impossible, but I knew that it was possible to see that balance and find that balance between the two. So that's where the Teacher Fitness Academy came from, is just really helping teachers understand that number one, you can build that routine in for you. And number two, it's so important because actually, if you don't sit and prioritize yourself or you don't learn how to set those appropriate boundaries, it's just thinking, is this job actually sustainable? Is it something that you can do in the long term? And I don't think it is, unless you are understanding how to set those boundaries and understanding how to make that time for you. It is very tricky and challenging to see this job as something that you can implement over that long term. And it's such a rewarding job. It's an amazing job. And the last thing we want is teachers to be leaving the profession because they can't, we can't find that balance between the two. And I do believe that there needs to be a higher up change somewhere and probably at a government level, a funding level, whatever that might look like. And all schools are different, yes, but there needs to be some element of us taking responsibility for ourselves too. And I guess that's where this comes in today. What can you actually do from a teacher level to make sure that you're putting some changes in place and seeing some positive changes for yourself? So what we're going to look at today is basically built from strategies and tools that I teach inside the Teacher Fitness Academy. So within the Teacher Fitness Academy, there's lots of different training modules. We do it within the coaching sort of week by week. We do it within the community. But the tools that we're going to look at today are things that we really use proactively within the Teacher Fitness Academy. So you're almost getting a bit of a snippet of it today and how it all works and what those sort of boundaries are that we set and what the toolkits are that we really lean into week in, week out to make sure that we are seeing those changes and to make sure that we are seeing results and being able to stay consistent as a team, I guess, over that period of time. So just before we dive in, I just wanted to showcase some amazing clients and some incredible results from some of the ladies inside the Teacher Fitness Academy. This is Becca. I've been working with Becca since last July. She really wanted to make a change and see results that she could actually stick to. She felt previously that she'd never found a plan where she could actually stick to it week in, week out, and it would always be something that was, 5 weeks and she'd be falling off track, maybe even 2 weeks and she'd be falling off track, and she just couldn't see the results from it because of that. Becca has absolutely changed her mindset towards fitness and health. She goes to the gym 4 or 5 times a week now. She absolutely smashes it, and she's been doing that since July last year. And as you can see, her body composition has changed massively. She's 9 kg down, and we're now at the point where we're actually increasing her calories week in, week out so that she's eating more and really developing and building that muscle. She's just done such a fantastic job in terms of working on herself. This is also Alana. Alana is a client that I've always been really, really proud of because when she first started with me, the gym was completely out of sort of like bounds to her. And she was like, I just can't do that. I can't go there. When she sort of finished her coaching program, not only has she lost a significant amount of weight and changed her body composition, Alana's mindset towards the gym was just incredible. Going every single morning, smashing it. Really, I think it was the mental health benefits of the gym that she found most rewarding, and having that time for her, developing that time for her and giving herself that time before she went into the school day just set her up properly and allowed her to feel like she had actually done something for herself before having a whole day, I guess, given to other people all of the time. And I think that's a really important part of sort of finding that time. It's not just about looking a certain way or losing weight. I really want all of my clients leaving the program understanding the wider impact of this and understanding the bigger picture of health. And that's definitely something that Alana did. So now that we've had a little look at some clients, let's actually dive into these systems and what the systems are that you guys can put in place to stay consistent this summer and really see some results and actually find something that works around teaching. So, number one is the traffic light system. This is something that their clients will be very familiar with. All of my clients use this week in, week out. It's something that is incredibly popular in our group chats as well. You need to view your teaching life as a little bit of a traffic light. This should be something that's always in the back of your mind, and this should be something that you can always sort of refer back to and jump back to at any sort of point throughout the half term. When clients start up with Teacher Fitness Academy, we always have this conversation around, okay, so what does a green week look for you? Like, what does a green week look like in teaching for you? So that is a week where it is maybe quite, a softer week where there's not much going on, not much planning. Maybe it's the end of term. You've kind of got everything ticked off and, it's feeling nice and easy. We then have a conversation around what does an orange week look like for you? So maybe planning's building up a little bit, but you've still got a little bit of time. You've still got a little bit of time for you, but work's kind of in that in-between mood. And then we look at sort of what a red week looks like for you. So it's parents' consultations, you've got loads of planning, maybe marking and assessment, and you just feel like you absolutely can't cope. Having a traffic lighter system to your programming and to your work week is so important because you need to understand that your fitness needs to fit around your teaching lifestyle. So you need to have a bit of a plan in your mind around, okay, well, it's an orange week this week. So what are my rules on an orange week? What do I really want to get in place on an orange week in terms of health, fitness, food, steps, workouts? So for example, on an orange week, you might decide that you want to do free workouts and you want to aim for 8,000 steps per day. But if it's a red week, when you know you've not got much time at all, you need to think about what are the things that you can drop, which still allow you to work towards your fitness goals, but maybe at a slower pace. So instead of doing 3 workouts per week, you might say, right, I'm going to do 1 workout this week. It's going to be at the weekend when work's over, but I'm still going to try and get my steps in. Instead of 8,000, I'm going to focus on 7,000 per day. And I'm still going to make sure I'm meal prepping all my food. So I'm eating well, because that's going to save me time anyway. And that's what my red week looks like. This is really important because it means that you are not setting yourself up for failure. The biggest reason why people fall off track is because they have failed in their mind. Once you've failed, it's very difficult to jump back on. But if you are preempting these weeks and understanding exactly what these weeks look like for you and have a strategy for each of these weeks, you are not setting yourself up for failure. You are, yes, moving maybe at a slower rate towards your goals on a red week, but you need to understand that you are a teacher. Fitness cannot always be your number one priority. And sometimes it is just the case that teaching does take over. You are always going to have those manic weeks and we can't do anything about them. It's the nature of the job. But you also need to understand that you're going to have green weeks. It's the school holidays, you've got nothing on. What can your fitness look like in those weeks? And it's being really strategic with your planning. It's being really strategic with your fitness life and making sure that that fits and complements your teaching life, not pulls against it. On a red week, when you're at work, to parents even until 7 o'clock, 3 nights that week, you've got loads of planning, assessment to do. It's not going to be possible for you to go to the gym every night. And I wouldn't want you to. You're going to be exhausted. And it's accepting that you have got different weeks and they look different and making sure that you're not setting yourself up to fail for failure. If you get from one thing from this training session, I would just remember traffic light and really try and look and analyze and audit what they actually look like for you and what your red week would look like, your amber week would look like, and what your green week would look like, and therefore what fitness and what workouts you want to do to complement those, what you want your nutrition to look like to complement those, and what you want your steps to look like to complement them as well. Next is system number 2, which is the 30 system. I love this one. The 30 system is there for those days where you just feel like you've got absolutely no energy and you cannot be bothered. So maybe you've got the time to do a bit of a workout, or you've got the time to get your steps in, or you've got the time to do a bit of meal prep, but it's a Wednesday evening, you've just had a staff meeting and you are crawling to the sofa. You can't even think about what you want for dinner. This is where this strategy is so effective and it really comes in. Instead of feeling like you need to go all the way to the gym, get your workout in, come back, and it's an hour and a half later and get showered, that just feels overwhelming when your brain is like that full anyway. You just need to tell yourself that whatever you're going to do tonight, you're almost at capacity. So whatever you're going to do tonight, you're going to give it 30 minutes. Whether or not that's 30 minutes on the walking pad, whether or not that's 30 minutes on a walk around the block, whether or not that's 30 minutes to give yourself time to prep food for the rest of the week, or whether or not that's 30 minutes where you're just going to, grab some dumbbells and do a bit of movement, or do at least, even you start start a workout and you do half of your workout or two-thirds of your workout rather than the whole thing. You're going to set a timer, and whatever you do, you're going to do 30 minutes to work towards something to do with your health and fitness. It feels so much easier knowing you've just got to do 30 minutes compared to feeling like you've got to do a whole 2 hour gym session, or you've got to do 2 hours of prepping food and getting your steps in. Just think 30 minutes is better than nothing. I am absolutely up here with my energy today. I've got hardly any left. I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to do something. This is a good strategy, like I said, when your energy is depleting, but you really want to stay consistent and reach those goals. 30 minutes, tick something off, steps, food, or workout. Choose one, get it done, and feel good for it, and see that you are still moving towards those goals and you are still getting there. Trust me, a lot of the time you will start a workout and do the 30-minute rule, but you will actually be like, oh, I may as well finish it. And that will just be how your mindset works. But give yourself 30 minutes, don't set yourself up for failure, see how you get on with it and see if you can tick those boxes. That's system number 2. So just to recap, we've got the traffic light system. System number 1, labeling your week. System number 2, 30 minutes. When those days energy is really, really low, give yourself 30 minutes to implement something towards your health and fitness. That's what you need to be doing. Number 3 is setting boundaries. So the boundary setting system. This one is so important. You are always going to have your boundaries pushed, your boundaries stretched, your mindset pushed to the limit in teaching, I think. And what I want you to get from today is that it is okay to have some boundaries. Over these holidays, I'd like to give you a little bit of a task. I want you to sit and write down 5 of your boundaries that you are going to have in place regardless of whatever comes up that week in teaching. So these are the things that are absolute no, I'm not doing that. No matter how crazy the week is, no matter how chaotic the week is, they're your boundaries. They're not going to happen. If you are struggling with this, I highly suggest you go and have a look at my most recent post that I've put on Instagram tonight. There I've listed out 10 boundaries that was firm things that I put in place to make sure that I felt like I wasn't burning out as a teacher. And if you are struggling, go and pick 5 of those 10 that you really want to implement and put in place as you go into this next half term or as you go into the summer term. So this could be things like not allowing work emails or class dojos to be on your personal phone. Work does not pay for your phone contract, and you have absolutely no responsibility to reply to these people in the evenings at 10 o'clock at night or, on a Saturday morning. It's not your job. So get it off your phone, set that boundary. Another boundary that you might want to set is absolutely no work at the weekends. That doesn't suit everybody. Some people like to sort of get their heads into it on a Sunday, it eases anxiety. But if that's something you want to do, set that boundary, no work at the weekends. Maybe yours is that on a Wednesday night, I go and see family. I take the kids to their grandma's, or the kids have got club. So I'm doing absolutely no work on a Wednesday night after I leave school. It doesn't matter what your boundaries are, as long as it's something to do with protecting your peace. It's got to work for you. I don't want to just tell you what the boundaries are, because sometimes actually for somebody, it might work better that they're doing the odd bit on a Saturday morning because it helps them ease the evenings in the week. So it's up to you what your boundaries are. Like I said, if you're struggling, go and check out my most recent Instagram post, because there are 10 there that I set and you might be able to steal from a few of those. But I highly suggest sitting down over these holidays when you've got a spare 5 minutes and just listing out 5 of your boundaries. And these are things that are going to be put in place on green weeks, amber weeks, and red weeks. So even when work is absolutely chaotic, you will have a clear understanding of what your boundaries are, and you will know where you want to sort of cross, where you are not going to cross the line with stuff. So it's having some firm boundaries. So the boundary setting system is really important. So the next one is the teacher shutdown system. I always found that in teaching, especially on a Sunday night, maybe even sometimes a Monday night, I would find it really hard to sleep and actually have a good night's sleep. And what happened then, I'd just wake up tired the next day, rely on more coffee to get through the day, feel more burnt out, my hormones would be all out of whack, and it just doesn't leave you feeling good. And I feel like it's really hard to actually shut down and shut off as a teacher and have that wound down time. What I want you to really think about with this system is a bit of like an evening routine almost to help you shut off from work, wind down, and do something that you enjoy in the evening for you. I want absolutely nobody here to be feeling like their whole day is teaching and they've not had one moment for themselves all day or any time for themselves throughout the day. What can you actually do in that evening to wind down, something you enjoy, make it a bit of a routine so that you've got something to look forward to at the end of the day? It might be a bath and, getting in your pajamas and then making dinner with your partner and sitting and having dinner in front of the telly. It might be I don't know, reading your book in bed, whatever it might be, it doesn't matter, but just try and come up with a bit of a rule, a bit of a system, even if it's just an hour in the evening where you get to actually wind down to prepare yourself for sleep. We are all very familiar with like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All of these bits, you're working out, your training, your nutrition, are not going to be effective or not going to be implemented in an effective way unless you are meeting those basic needs, which is sleep, okay? Sleep, you need to be meeting. You need to be rested. You need to be able to do these jobs. And we all know that we feel so much better when we are rested and when we have given ourselves that time to do so as well. So, system number 5 is the default daily system. So, these are things that are like in your brain, ingrained. So that even when you are absolutely at your limit of not knowing what you want to do or not knowing, you've made a million decisions that day and you don't know where to move next or what to do next because you're just exhausted, you've got a bit of a default day system. So, what I would have in your bank is 2 recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that you can just lean into on your default days. So, when you have no energy, what are the things that you can just go into and just make sure you have that food in all the time? So, it might be something like, okay, for breakfast, my default day is, okay, I know that I have my overnight oats, or I know that I have my yogurt and nuts, or I know that I have for lunch a tuna salad or a chicken bagel, whatever it might be. Just make sure you've got some default options in place because sometimes you just haven't got the capacity to think and make and prepare new food and new recipes. And sometimes it's so much easier to just be like, oh, that's a really familiar meal. I'm just going to go and make that because it's not always about new, new, new. Being consistent works, doing the same thing works. And it doesn't mean you have to have the same meal each day, week in, week out. But if you are familiar with some foods or recipe ideas that you can lean into and go back to when it does feel particularly hard or when you are feeling particularly fatigued, then it just stops you setting yourself up for failure. And it just means that you've always got those options there to jump back into and lean into as well. So, just as a little bit of a recap, so you guys have got those 5 systems. Number 1 is traffic light system. So, setting your weeks into a red, amber, green week and then trying to organize your health and fitness in accordance to those weeks so you're not setting yourself up for failure. Number 2 is all about the 30-minute rule. So, this is the 30 system. So, on those days or evenings where you're just absolutely exhausted, but you just want to really stay on track, what is something that you can do to just get some movement in or get something productive towards your health and fitness done? What is something of 30 minutes you could do? It could be 30 minutes of meal prep, 30 minutes of walking, 30 minutes of a workout, whatever that might be. Number 3 is the boundary system. So, what are your non-negotiables? What are you going to choose as your things that you are absolutely not going to do, even when it's one of those red weeks in teaching? What are the boundaries you're going to set and not move for anybody? Number 4 is the teacher shutdown system. So, what's your evening routine? What's going to allow you to prepare you to rest so that you're waking up as fresh as you can that next day and not just relying on coffee and caffeine, which we all do anyway. But how are you going to give yourself a little bit of a break from that and come away from that a little bit? And number 5 is the default day system. So, what is your default day? What does it look like on those days where decisions are at an absolute capacity? What does your breakfast look like? What does your lunch look like? What does your movement look like? What does your dinner look like? What do your drinks look like? So on those days where you just can't make any more decisions, have some default systems you can lean into. Make it easy for yourself. It doesn't need to be creative and crazy and, all of these bougie little recipes. It can just be basic. And sometimes that's the best way to do it and actually see results. So I hope those 5 systems were helpful, guys. And I hope they gave you a bit of a glimpse to sort of how you can balance your health and fitness around your busy teaching career. It is always possible. And, I do want it to be something that you feel like is possible in itself. So what I'd like you to do from this, I don't want you to just come away from this training, this being something that you've heard and then it goes over your head. I'm going to put this onto YouTube and I'm going to send the recording into this group. The group chat will be left there open. So you can go back into this recording and rewatch it over the Easter holidays, get yourself prepped for next half term. What I would do if I was you is apply these strategies one by one next half term. So each week, maybe focus on a new strategy that you want to implement and slowly build up to those feeling natural and things that you can sort of like lean into and build on as you go through. rather than it feeling like you've got just overwhelmed with all of these five things all at once. I'd apply them one by one so it feels systematic, it feels clear in your eyes, and you are feeling like you're making traction with it and you're making changes with it basically. So that's what I start with, is just building these things in one by one. But just make sure that you try and apply something that you've got from today. Try and put it in place, because otherwise it's just information. Even if it's just one of these things, decide what you're going to apply and then really try and pop it in place so that you know exactly what you're doing and you can sort of start to move towards those goals as well. So a little bit like we do in the Teacher Fitness Academy, I guess, think about what sort of food you can get in place, what your workouts might look like as well to complement these things. Try and go into the next half term with a little bit of a plan. Try and go into the next half term sort of understanding what you want to do in terms of your nutrition, your training, what your goals are. And that just means that you are more focused, you're more driven to get to where you want to be. So have that plan there ready to go. Now, if you guys want any help with implementing any of these, I am actually offering a little bit of sort of a freebie on the back of this training. So if you would like a free implementation call, which would be a one-to-one call, sort of just with myself, just seeing we've got a message in the group. What app do you use for your meal plan? So that is an app that I use within the coaching. So it's the coaching software app that I use. So it's the one that the girls use within the Teacher Fitness Academy, basically. That's what we would use. But yeah, basically after this call, guys, offering a bit of a free bonus, especially as we're going into half term next week. So if you would like sort of some personal help with applying any of these systems and you want to do it in a little bit of a strategic way and you want to look at sort of how you can break these systems down into your lifestyle, I'm offering a free implementation call, which would just be me and you on the call. And we would do a bit of an audit of sort of where you're at the moment. We'd look at which strategies are most important to apply and hopefully set you up with a bit of a plan sort of going into the summer. So you've got a bit of a strategy there going forward and kind of moving towards your next goals, ready to whatever your goals are, but moving towards the summer and just being able to stay a little bit more consistent, I guess. So if you do want to hear a little bit more around that, after this call, message me on WhatsApp the word free and we'll have a conversation about when that might work in terms of calls. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. But otherwise, guys, I hope you enjoyed this training and I hope it was something that you felt was useful for you in terms of seeing the changes that you want to see and, you know, something that you'll be able to apply. Like I said, the recording will be sent into the group so you can refer back to it whenever it feels right and, you know, whenever it feels necessary. But yeah, any questions, guys, feel free to pop them into the Zoom chat. If not, have a lovely evening. And yeah, thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate you all coming. I know there's lots of new faces here and you are very tired. It's the end of half term and you're probably crawling to the finish line. Yeah, I do appreciate you all being here. And I just hope it was a little bit useful for you as well and something that you can sort of take away. But yeah, have a lovely evening. Have a lovely Easter holidays. I'll be dropping the link to the recording. And yeah, if you would like to bag your sort of free roadmap call, free call around implementing one of these strategies and doing a bit of an audit, if you are just feeling that little bit lost right now, then just message me the word free privately after this call on WhatsApp and we will get started and we can get you booked in and we can see if we can find something that'll work for the next half term. But anyway, have a lovely evening, guys, and I will catch up with you all soon.